In this lecture, I am going to discuss about component communications in Angular. So you will learn what are the different ways to communicate between components in Angular. There are three ways to communicate between components in Angular. The first one is with the help of input-output decorator, and the second one is with the help of viewChild decorator, and the third one is with the help of services when there are no parent-child relationship between components. So first of all, I will tell you how we can pass data from parent component to child component and child component to parent component with the help of input-output decorator. So let's open our app component.html file. You see here we have this post list component. So let's open our post list component.html file. Here we have this element for each post item. Now I'll create a separate component for our each post item. So in Angular we can create new component with the help of ngg for generate and C for component and then our component name. I'm going to create the component under post folder and the component name will be post list item. This will create a new component folder under post folder. Also this will update our app modules. So you see we have a new folder called post list item and this will update our app module. You see inside our declaration array we have this post list item component. Okay. Now let's open our post list component.html file and then let's cut this code from here and paste that code inside our post list item component.html file. Okay, first of all remove these elements from here and paste that code which I copied from our post list component.html file. Now what I will do, I will use this component inside our post list component.html file. So our post list item component selector is app post. Okay, let's copy the selector from here. The selector name is app post list item and use it here. And then what I will do, instead of adding our for loop inside our post list item component, we are going to add this for loop inside our post list component.html file and to this child component. Okay. Now if I refresh the browser, we'll see some error because our post list item component doesn't know about this post property, right? So what we need to do, we need to pass this post property to our app post list item component. So how we can pass the data to our child component? We can pass the data with the help of this square bracket and then our property name, and this will be post, and then we need to provide the value here. So which value we are going to pass? We are going to pass this post value. So let's pass this post value here, and we are passing the values from parent component to child component here, but we are not accepting this value inside our child component, right? So what we need to do, we need to open our child components TS file, and inside our child components we can accept the value with the help of input decorator. So let's add input decorator here and let's say post, and this will be type of post model, and this will this will show some error. This is actually for the stick mode true. Inside our project we have the stick mode 2, so we need to change it to false to remove that error. Now if I check that code, see there are no errors now. Okay, so we successfully accept the data which we are getting from our parent component, right? And again this will throw some error because inside our post list item component we are using this post details method. So what we need to do, we need to cut this post details method from here and we need to add that and add this method inside our post list component.ts file. So let's add this inside our post list item component.html file, not html, and the ts file, and if it's the browser, you see everything is working fine, right? So the design is breaking, right? So what we can do, we can cut the styles from here because previously our post list item was inside our post list component.html files. That's why we added the styles here. Now we created a separate component for post list item, right? So we need to add this styles inside this post list item.component.css file. Now check the browser, this will work fine. You see design is working fine. We can comment out these lines of code which is inside our app component.html file. So these are actually for the pipes. We which I discussed in previous lectures. Okay, so that's for passing data from parent component to child component, and we can achieve this with this input decorator. Now it's time to discuss about how to pass data from child component to parent component. We can use this post list item component, but I'm not going to use this. I'll create a separate component for demonstrating this. Okay, how we can pass data from child component to parent component. So if I open our post list component.html file, here we have this search input field. So I'll create a separate component for this. So I'll create a separate component called post search, and then I will cut this code from here, and I will include this code inside our new component called post search.html file. Okay, and then I will use our post search component inside our post list component. So here is our post list component, and I will use our post search component here. And inside our app post search component, we are using some properties and methods. So we need to add these properties and method from our post list component. So we are using this search post properties, and we are using another method called searching. So let's cut this method and add this inside our post search component.ts file. So that's it. Now it's time to pass data from our child component to parent component. Okay, so we can pass data from child component to parent component with the help of output decorator. So let's add @output, and we need to create a new event name here. So the event name will be search post, and this will be new event emitter, and we're going to include this from Angular code. Make sure it is importing from Angular code, and where okay, this will be, I think, type of string, right? So whatever the search text will get from the input field, the type will be string. So let's mention the type. That's it. Now inside our searching method, we are right now consoling searching, right? So it is binded to our input fields keyup method, right? We can remove this ng model because we are not going to use this. So let's remove this, and also let's remove this search text from here. Okay, so this searching method is binded to the keyup methods of our input field, right? So if I type something, let's open the developer console and let's see, are we getting the data in the console or not? Let's type something. Yes, we are getting searching here. Now what I will do, I will pass the event here, and we accept the event inside this. What is that method? The method is inside our post search component, right? So let's accept the event here, and this will be type of any, and we'll console the event dot target dot value, whatever the value we'll get from the search input field, right? Now let's check, are we getting the exact value or not? Yes, we are getting the exact value. Now what I will do, I will emit the event, right? So I'll emit the event emitter. So this dot search post dot emit, and then what will be the data we are going to pass? We are going to pass the value what we will get from the search input field, right? Now we are passing the data from child component to parent component with the help of EventEmitter, right? But we are not listening to this EventEmitter inside our parent component. So what we need to do, we need to listen to the event. So how we can listen to the event? We can listen to the event with this first bracket, and then what is the EventEmitter name? EventEmitter name is search post, right? And then we need to call one local method, and the local method, let's say the local method name will be the same, search post, and we will get the event data here as a parameter, let's say event. And we need to create this search post method inside our post list component. So let's open our post list component.ts file and let's create a new method called search post, and we'll get the data here. Let's say search text, and this will be type of string, and let's say console.log search text. Okay, search text, and let's put from child component. Okay, component. Now let's refresh the browser and try to search something here. Let's say text. Here we are getting the values here inside our parent component. So we successfully passed data from child component to parent component. Now I will tell you how we can access properties and methods of a child component from our parent components with the help of viewChild decorator. So this is our parent component, right? So what I will do, I'll create a new viewChild decorator, viewChild, and then this will be type of, what will be the type? The type will be post search component, because I'm going to access properties and methods of our post search component. So what I'll do, I'll provide this post search component inside this viewChild decorator, and I'll store the value to a new value called post search component. Post search component. Okay, and this will be type of post search. Let's include this component here inside this file. Now we can use any properties or methods of our post search component inside our post list component with this viewChild decorator, and we can only get, we can access those properties and method of a child component inside the ng after view init method. Whenever our child component will load, then only we can access those properties and methods. So let's add ng after view init, and for this what we need to do, we need to implement our after view init, right? Yeah, that's it. And let's console.log this post search component. Okay, this dot post search component, this will be component, right? P component. Yeah, so let's refresh the browser. You see we are getting our post search component here, so we can access any properties and method. So what I will do, I'll open our post search component here, and then what I will do, I'll remove this key up method from this input field, and I will add a form control for this input field for the searching. So let's create a new form control inside our post search component.html file, not HTML file, inside our TS file. So let's create a new form control here. Let's say search input form control, and this will be new form control. Because we are using form control, these are from reactive form modules. I'll discuss reactive form modules later. I'll discuss about reactive form later. Because we are using reactive forms here, we need to include reactive form modules inside our app module. So let's open our app module, and then let's include our reactive form modules here, so that we can use the form control method inside our post search component. Okay, now we need to bind this search input control to our input field. How we can bind this? We can bind this with the help of form control inside a square bracket. So let's provide this form control name here. Yeah, that's it. So let's refresh the browser. Nothing is broken here. Now how we can access this form control from the parent component? So which is our parent component? Our parent component is post list component. So we can access any properties and methods of a child component with the help of viewChild decorator. So we are going to access post search components search input field controls. Okay, and because this is a form control, we can call value changes method. Value changes, this is an observable, right? So we can subscribe to it to get the data, and we can search the data according to the search value. So let's console the search text here. Let's say search text, and we can console log the search text here. Okay, console.log search text. Now refresh the browser and search anything here. You see we're getting the search text. We can also use the debounce method. Okay, so that's it. How we can get the how we can access properties and methods of a child component with the help of ViewChild decorator. So I think you understood how we can access that with the help of ViewChild decorator. Now I'm going to tell you when there are no relationship between components, when there are no parental relationship between components, then how we can communicate between components. For that we need to use the service, right? So what I'll do, I'll create a separate component. So I'll create a new component called post create. Okay, and then what I'll do, I'll include this post create component inside our app component.html file. So let's add our app post create component inside our app component. Okay, now there is no relationship between this app post list and app post create component. Let's refresh the browser. You see we have this text here. Now I'm going to add one button inside our post create component. So let's open our post create component. Okay, we can use the styles which are now inside our. Okay, we can use a main. Okay, what is that? Post create. Yeah, here is a post create component.html file, and we can use the main, or okay, let's use only one div, and let's add a class called container. And then inside this container, let's add a button of class btn success. These are bootstrap classes. Let's add new post, and on clicking on this button, I'm going to fire an event, and the event name will be add new post. And then let's add this add new post method inside our post create component. Okay, and let's console log something. Console.log new post added. New post added. Refresh the browser. Click on this button. You see we are getting this new post added message, right? Now from this add new post method, I'm going to add new post to the post array. Right now our post array is inside our post service, right? So if I open our post service, you see inside our post service. Okay, so inside our post service we have this post array, right? Now I'm going to add a new method here inside our post service called add post, and we're going to accept the post data, and this will be type of our post model, and this post model included inside this service. Now what I'll do, I'll push the newly added post data to our post array with the help of push method. So I'm going to push the new elements to the post array, and then what I will do, I'll console log the length of our post array. Okay, now we need to call this add post method from our add new post method, right? So first of all we need to add our post service here as a dependency injection, post service, and then this will be type of post service, and we can call this dot post service dot add post, and I need to pass the post data, right? So for now I'll pass some hard-coded post data. So what I'll do, let's open our post service and let's copy this object and store it to a new variable called post, and let's modify the ID here, and this is a new post. Okay, let's say author, new author. Okay, and we need to pass this data whenever we'll call post services add post method. Okay, that's it. Now let's click on this button. You see the post length is changing, but the data is not updating inside our post list component, because our post list component doesn't know that there is an event is happening, right? So inside our post list component we need to listen to that event, and we can listen to that event with the help of subjects, right? If I click on again and again, you see the length is increasing. That means element is adding, but our post list component doesn't know about this. To achieve this, what we need to do, we need to use subjects. Subjects is a type of observable in Angular which help us to share data or messages between components. So let's open our post service and let's add a new subject here, and right now I'm going to use normal subject. There are lots of other subjects available which are viewer subject and async subject and relay subjects. I'll discuss about this later. Okay, so let's create a new subject here. Let's say post subject, and this will be a type of subject, right? So this will be type of subject, right? So am I correct here? Subject, right? So this will be new subjects, I think. Yeah, new subject, and then we need to provide the type, right? So the type will be our post, and this will be an array, right? And this will be method, right? That's it. And this will be private, not public. We'll provide private because these subjects cannot be accessed directly from our components. We need to use a getter to get the subjects. So to get the subjects, what I'll do, I'll create a new getter. Let's say get updated post, right? And this is actually a getter, and I'll return this dot post subjects dot as observable. So this will return an observable, and from the components we can subscribe to this observable to get the data. Okay, and so we are creating the subjects, right? And we are creating the getter, and inside this add post method we need to add the data to the subjects. I mean, we are going to emit the events from this add post method. So from this add post method we will to emit the method. So this dot post subjects dot emit, actually there is no, is there is any emit method. So this is actually subjects, right? So new subject, this is post subject. Sorry, you need to call next method. I think this is not actually the emitter, this is actually subject, so we need to call next method. And inside this next method, what we need to do, we need to pass the data. We need to pass the newly post array. Okay, so we push the element to the post array, and then we are passing the data, newly created post data to the subjects, and we are returning the observable subjects observable from this get updated post method. Now what I will do, I will listen to this subjects with the help of I am going to listen to this get updated post observable from the components to get the data. So in which component we are going to listen or subscribe to this observable? We are going to subscribe to this observable inside our post list component. So let's open our post list component ts file, and inside this ng on init method we will subscribe to the subjects. This dot post service dot get updated post dot subscribe, right? This is method, right? So need to call subscribe, and then we'll get the updated data. We'll get the updated post data here. Let's say post, and whenever we will get new data, we'll update our local variable. This dot post is equal to the post which we are getting from the subjects. That's it. Now refresh the browser and click on this add new post button. You see new post added. You see this is a new post and new author. So we successfully listen to the events what we are getting to the subjects. Okay, so this is how we can communicate between components when there are no parental relationship. So I think you understand how we can communicate between components in Angular. Okay, so that's it. In the next lecture I'm going to tell about Angular template driven form. I'll create a new form to add the post to our post array. But now we are adding this button, and when we are clicking we are adding some hard-coded values. Later in this after this video, in the next lecture I'm going to create a form to add post data manually with the help of template driven form in Angular. So stay connected.